everyone, I'm Matt Williamson at Williamson NFL. Give me a follow over there in the X. Go check out my YouTube page, all that good stuff. But to start today's show, we'll get the Steelers here in a minute, but I'm going to start today's show a little different. This is a Pittsburgh Sports podcast, website, obviously. But the passing of Mike Lange is a big one for me. I don't follow the hockey or the Pens nearly as much as I used to. I'm 51 years old. I'm recording this on Thursday. This is the first time I've had a chance to chat with you guys. But that's a big one. I mean, to me, that is a true Pittsburgh Stan Savran-like legend. You know what I mean? Like just an all-time great that shaped a lot of our views and influenced our life quite a bit. And I never knew Mike Lange, you know, doing this for my job. I didn't intersect with him, but being born in 1973, much of my childhood, the Pens were horrendous. I mean, once in a while we'd go to a game and it'd be like $2 and you could sit basically on the ice and go sit wherever you want, you know. But then this Lemieux guy gets drafted and he's my all-time favorite athlete ever. I mean, think about the year. I mean, Lemieux gets drafted in the mid-'80s. I'm 12, 13 years old. And all of a sudden, we're like, what's this hockey stuff, you know? And before you know it, me and all my buddies are playing street hockey after school every day, listening. You know, I'd walk to school. My best bud and I would meet in the park and walk to school and be like, man, did you see Lemieux had a hat trick last night? He had 5 points last night. You know, and then as soon as school was over, we'd run to the street hockey courts and play until dark or later, you know. And that was all because of Lemieux, but obviously Lange had so much to do with that, you know. And if you think about it, just with my age, perfect time for Lemieux and the Pens to be good, listening on the radio at night in my bed. You know, I mean, like there was no internet. You know, I mean, for you young pups, I mean, times were different back then. We weren't texting each other. We didn't have cell phones. You'd watch every game as much as you possibly could. Lange all the time. And then as I got older, you know, I mean, the Pens started to be real good. You know, like I graduated high school from Mount Lebanon in 1991. And that's when they were really, really humming. And that coincided with my college, late high school party years, you know, like watching the Pens in the playoffs, you know, cups, all those things. And of course, Mike Lange, you know, I mean, he's the one bringing all that to you. And my love for the Pens kept up and, you know, through the Crosby years and things. And frankly, now it's not that I don't like the Pens at all. I've been enjoying this international series, but I just don't have the time. I'm so dedicated to football, family, etc. But I just wanted to acknowledge, you know, Mike Lange and what he meant to me and probably to a lot of you guys. I mean, there's not all that many Pittsburgh sports legends, you know, Myron Cope. I mean, Stan Savran, as I mentioned. I mean, that's the level we're talking about here, you know. So that's a big one. Tremendous influence, obviously. I would never pretend to know hockey 1/100th as well as I know football, but I did think that was something I wanted just to mention to you guys, and I'm sure it affected many of you out there as well. So he's a great one, no question. Folks, BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion with the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. So it is Combine Week, or leading up to Combine Week. And, you know, Super Bowl's in the books, Senior Bowl's in the books. You would think this would be a super busy week. News. Boy, there's more to talk about than I can imagine. It never is. It's always the calm before the storm. Well, why is that? Well, because teams aren't making moves right now. They're planning their moves right now. You know, they're kind of hunkered down, especially the top guys. I'm sure a lot of scouts and position coaches are watching more tape of the upcoming combine positions they need to address or their areas or whatever. But the big time decision makers, Omar Khan, etc., are formulating their plan now and finalizing their plan. They formulated their plan before. How are we going to attack this offseason? Where are our dollars going, etc.? So therefore, you don't get a lot of news this week around the league. And I know this from doing this for 20-some years, that content the week before the combine is a little tough to come up with new stuff, and the combine's a whirlwind. So, you can't believe everything you hear, but you hear a lot and things happen and heights and weights and every agent on the planet is there and every decision maker is there and tons happens behind the scenes. But the news of the day, more or less, is the salary cap looks like here's the statement, I guess. The NFL informed its teams that the per team salary cap for 2025 would be between $277.5 million and $281.5 million. They have not yet had the final factor, but it's in that neighborhood. Let's say it's about 280. So the salary cap will rise significantly for the second year in a row. Last year was the largest cap increase of all time. It rose from 224.8 to 255.4. And this year's increase means the cap will have increased by at least $53 million over the past 2 years. What's that mean and what's it mean to the Steelers? First of all, it means the league is very healthy. And I'm glad I cover this rather than cricket or bowling for a living because the NFL is thriving. The biggest ways you can always tell about how well the league is doing is the value of individual franchises and the salary cap. So what kind of ripple effect does this have for the Steelers? They now, right this second, February 20th, when I'm recording this, they have about $60 million in cap space, which is the 8th most. That's only 7 teams are in better cap situation this second today. Now, I can't speak for all 7 of those, but I can tell you this team has a lot of flexibility to make more, too. They could cut Cole Holcomb. They could cut Ogunjobi. There's, we already saw the Preston Smith move. So there are a lot of levers they can pull to open up more cap space and significantly more if they choose. How about this? As scheduled right now, and this will change a lot, but their next year's cap, like I said, they had 60 right now. Next year's cap currently, they have $164 million in cap space. And surprisingly, that's not number 1. That's the 5th most. So they are very, very cap friendly at the moment. And remember Omar Khan's background? He was a cap guy. I don't think these are coincidences. And you're also not paying Ben Roethlisberger top of the money quarterback money. And they are going to have to pay a quarterback. And this past year was very friendly that way. Which brings me to 2 other quarterback names. And I'm not saying the Steelers should sign either. But I feel like we've neglected 2 high drafted, talented, outside the organization quarterbacks. And first off is Sam Darnold. I believe right now, despite his final 2 games, that Sam Darnold is a better football player than Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. He also has youth on his side, and I think he would give you the best of those 3, gives you the best combination of chance to win this year and chance that you found your answer and win next year, etc. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. So in a way, that's sort of settling, all right, we got a B level. He's very, very talented, by the way. And he's also younger than you think. He was drafted as a very young man to a terrible situation. But it looks like the projections on his contract are around a 3-year, 125 million neighborhood, 50 million or 40 million per, give or take, maybe a smidge more. I would think you'd be fighting the Raiders. I don't think he'd go back to New York. Maybe Tennessee would be interested. There's still a chance the Vikings franchise him and try to trade him. That doesn't excite me. I don't want to give up draft picks if I'm going to give up this much money. But I would think of the open teams. I think there's 6 teams right now that really don't have a quarterback. Both New York teams, the Browns, the Raiders, the Titans, the Steelers. If I'm him, I definitely want to go to Pittsburgh out of that group. I mean, they go to the playoffs. They win football games. Believe it or not, folks, people want to play for Tomlin. But more than anything, it's just stable. And you might not believe this either. They probably have the best O-line or potential for the best O-line of those groups. And they have a lot of other money to go add around them. So I would not discount that at all. Just wanted to bring it out there. I'm not saying that's my answer to the quarterback question, but I'm trying to present all these things to you guys. Now, the other one, your guys are going to brush off immediately. And I 100% understand that because I'm not saying I even would go down this road. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones right now has a lot of similarities to Sam Darnold 1 year ago. And Darnold played on a 1-year, $10 million deal for the Vikings. Well, I think that's the neighborhood Jones is going to get. Maybe 11 or 12, probably a 1-year deal. In the end, I think in Minnesota, Darnold won't be back. McCarthy will be backed up by Daniel Jones. And that's the way that goes. But I'm just saying, I didn't love him coming out of Duke. And I think Darnold's the more talented player, just prospect, what their body is able to do and mind, etc. But Jones does have talent. He was a top 5 pick. He's 6'5". He runs like the wind. He has a good, not great arm. He has physical attributes. And he, like Darnold, to start his career, was really treated poorly. It takes a village to raise a quarterback. And those 2 villages that they both were a part of for their career up until this point were on fire. For Darnold with the Jets and the Panthers and Jones with the Giants. So I'm just saying, if there's this year's Sam Darnold, a reclamation project, it's probably going to be Justin Fields or Daniel Jones. What if you paired them both together here and just see what happens? The answer is probably not enough. Or if someone just goes with Jones, and I'm not saying the Steelers should take Jones and nothing else. If he were to be a Steeler, you better have something else. No way is he the only answer. But I did just want to present the argument in his favor for you guys that let's not just laugh at him and, he's not going to be any good. He has no career left. He'll never be a winning player. I think that's presumptuous. And I think Darnold's good proof of that from a year ago. And I do believe Darnold, and the Steelers have the cap space, it probably makes you better than Fields or Wilson now and going forward. See what that would look like or how that would happen. I don't know. And does that mean if you were to sign him, you can't use a first-round pick on a quarterback next year? It seems unlikely, but it doesn't mean you can't. The Falcons signed Kirk Cousins and 2 months later used the top 10 pick on Penix. If you love a guy, you take him. And Steelers have the cap space. All right, everyone. Mike Lange, you were a great one, dude. All right, man. Take care, everyone.